Oh, we've completely lost him.
Sketchy bit, I remember. So there's some good crashes here last time. Oh, there's the hotline there. Definitely taking the hotline. That saves.
Wow, this is the biggest weapon I've ever been on the Derailed podcast.
Pretty rude corners. And there's like a drop down here, I remember. Just here, you gotta get up on this rock, then off the drop. Oh, there we go. Not quite race pace, but good little warm up.
Hello and welcome back to the Content Collective's Derailed series, season 2. This week I'm joined by Charlie Murray. We went for a ride when we were out in Finale a couple months ago, or a month or two ago. We had a really great chat. I really did enjoy my chat with Charlie. He's had quite a sort of interesting background in terms of sport. He kind of got into the racing later and had much of his sort of formative years in terms of like his progression on a bike when he was much younger, and has managed to maintain a fairly kind of relaxed approach and a fairly balanced approach, which is something I'm very interested in, as I kind of did the opposite in my racing career. So it was a really interesting and insightful chat with him. Again, I couldn't really ride in this episode either because of a crash I had in Crans a couple of weeks before then. But it was a really great chat. It was a really great ride. I think you're going to really enjoy this one. If you do, please like, comment and subscribe. We hugely appreciate your feedback. But let's jump in now to my conversation with Charlie. I really hope you enjoy.
All right, Charlie.
Sweet.
How are you?
Good.
How was, so we're here in Finale, Ligure.
Yeah.
Just finished up racing at Crans, Montana.
Yeah.
How was that race for you?
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. Really loved the place, loved the trails there. The race was pretty tough though, like, just struggling to kind of wake up.
Yeah.
The first few stages, they were quite full on. Just felt like I was kind of hesitating a little bit, and there's no chance for hesitation. You've got to be kind of firing straight out of the gate. And then kind of warmed up a bit, and the last stage was great. Had a good one down there.
Fun. Yeah. Do you think,
enjoyed that, so.
I've heard a few people talking, a few racers saying like the format in the last year or two has changed a bit, and the races are both, and the kind of format's changed, but then it also sounds like the pace, like the intensity has gone up a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, that's what everyone's saying. Everyone's saying that everyone's going faster than ever before, which is probably true to some extent. People aren't slowing down, but I think we used to have a few more like 2-day races. So it's kind of more about like consistency and playing the long game, not crashing. And if you just keep your bike and body in one piece, you do pretty well. Whereas now it's just one day. So you can really just go crazy. But it means that you still have mechanicals and crashes.
Just come over here a little bit. Just so
you still have some crashes and mechanicals. But if it's only one day, you can sometimes get away with it. And if you can pull it off, you get a good result. So I reckon it has changed. Like the mindset is more kind of send it, rather than, self-preservation sort of thing.
Become a little bit more like a sort of series of downhill races.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's still quite different from downhill in the fact that you only get one practice.
Yeah.
So you're never going to be perfect on all the lines, and you're never going to be as quick as a downhill race.
Yeah.
But the stages, you just have to attack everywhere. Whereas before you can pace yourself, and if you're a fit dude, you'd make up time. But now everyone is just pushing everywhere they can.
Yeah. That was actually the first EWS I'd ever been to.
Yeah.
I entered. I haven't really raced in quite a few years, and just thought I'd come and I've done a few over the summer, so I thought I'd come out and do just the EWS 100.
Yeah.
And made it about 20 seconds into the first stage where I washed the front wheel, hit my ribs off a rock.
Oh,
but just being there, walking the tracks, it just is giving, like, I think one of the things with EWS as opposed to downhill is because you don't see it in the same way.
Yeah.
It's harder to comprehend really you know, just from the you see the photos,
Yeah.
bit of like the video things, it's still kind of hard to comprehend what the riders are doing.
Yeah.
And just being at the race just was like, it's so impressive. The speed and the intensity, you know, you like top level guys are riding that stuff is, you know, for 5 tracks is amazing.
Yeah.
It's, it gave me, just new sort of appreciation for
Yeah.
the EWS.
It's the same with everything. Like you see it, and then you go and look at it in real life, and it's 2 different things.
Exactly.
Like downhill is the same for me. If I ever go to a World Cup, you know, I've watched countless ones on Rebel TV.
Yeah.
But you go to a World Cup and you just stand on the side of the track for 10 minutes, and it's crazy.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
You're like, man, this is impressive.
It's funny what you're used to. I'm kind of used to being at downhill races and racing downhill stuff.
Yeah.
Although, just not racing in a while. When you're there, you just kind of, you know, you're competing.
Yeah.
You're kind of used to it. And then now that I'm not really competing at that level anymore, it's like, it's back to sort of how it was, you know, when you first start and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is unbelievable what these guys are doing.
Yeah.
Did you ever race downhill?
Nah.
Never.
I just, when I was like a grom, like, I don't know, from when I was kind of 10 or 12 to about 16 or 17, I used to race cross country.
Really? Till
So-
16, 17?
Sorry?
Till you were 16, 17, you were racing cross country?
Yeah.
Just like at national level or what sort of level?
Yeah,
were you
just in
racing?
the NZ. Just racing all the nationals and a couple of Oceanias and stuff like that.
Cool.
And then, let's wait for this motorbike. We were never allowed like downhill bikes or anything, because Dad was like, oh, they're too dangerous. So we just had hardtails, me and my brother. And then I always liked the look of downhill, but never did it.
Yeah.
And then kind of gave up biking when I was about, 16, 17.
So what age were you, how old were you when you started and what made you get into it?
Well, like when we were kids, my brother and a friend Pat, we had these holiday houses out in the country in New Zealand, and it was like kind of in the foothills, so like not the big Alps but the smaller mountains.
Okay, cool.
And we had like a little forest behind the holiday house, or behind the cabin, and we just built like little mini DH tracks and pump tracks and stuff like that.
Fun.
And then, it was just something to do. We were just riding like 16-inch rigids with back pedal brakes. And we rode them from when we got them, like when we were, you know, like however you are, like 4 or 5 when you get a little
Yes, that was like
16-inch.
your first little kind of bike.
But then we never went off them, because all the pump track and the little downhill tracks were made for these back pedal brake rigid bikes. So we just were like, oh, they're so fun. So we rode them until we were like 15.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
We got some old videos of us just shredding on these tiny rigid bikes, and we're cute, like way bigger.
That is all, like, it's amazing how much you can learn and develop your skills just on such simple,
Yeah.
you know, such simple bikes, especially at that age. Like, the place we always used to ride just near the house, and it was like just 10 minutes up the road, we just had these little hardtails that we'd go up and then build all these just little trails and stuff, because you build the trails to suit the bikes, you know, you
Exactly.
don't build like big gnarly downhill tracks.
Yeah.
And when you're that age, it's kind of easier because, you know, you can actually build
Yeah.
those types of features. Like these days, like this bike, a cross country bike recently, and it made me, because I'd just ridden like these big enduro bikes,
Yeah.
and I was comparing them to downhill bikes, so I was like, these are cross country bikes.
Yeah.
But you need to ride really fast, like, you know, rough stuff to like have this be fun. Whereas on
Exactly.
like a little cross country bike, you can just ride like stuff that's much easier to build, I suppose.
Exactly. Yeah. It's quite hard to get these bikes on the limit. Like you need, you know, big features or rough trails and stuff
Yeah,
So-
you need to drive places basically.
to
usually.
get them closer to the limit.
Yeah. So how old were you when you started racing cross country?
So like just, probably like 12 or 13 or something. Just, my mum's always come in involved in the bike scene, and she organised some local club races.
Were they were mountain bikers themselves, or just your mum? I just kind
My
of
old
into
man
bikes.
was into multi-sport.
What's
So like,
that?
it's kind of like off-road triathlon, like running,
Oh, cool.
cycling, kayaking.
Yeah.
So he would do that, and he was pretty good at it. And then mum was also pretty good at it, but she kind of more enjoyed the technical challenge of mountain biking, whereas my dad never really has loved the technical stuff. I think because he kind of got a bit of a rough hand dealt to him in terms of like the bikes that were around when he was riding, and he's quite a tall dude, so
Yeah.
the seat on the 26-inch bike, the seat was up, you know, in the sky.
Yeah.
The bars were down there, and any time he went downhill, just felt like he was going to go over the
He's
bars.
like, what the hell? This isn't fun at all.
Exactly. So actually, the modern bikes, it's kind of a shame that he missed that era. But Mum just loved the technical stuff, and she's actually quite a good rider. She'll ride all like the rocky, you know, black trails back home.
That's cool.
So that's pretty cool. So
And-
yeah, they just got me into it really.
So she was like, oh, there's like local cross country races or whatever. You guys fancy doing it?
Yeah, exactly. So she started organising them, and she put on like a downhill and an XC. And after a while, I just thought, oh, I'll start. I was marshalling when I was a real grom, in a high vis like that was taller than me, like a dress.
That's funny.
And I was just on the radio and stuff. And then once I got a bit older, just started entering the cross country ones.
How did you feel like at that age? Because I remember when I had got into this sort of program, I had a coach, and it was the first time that I was doing any like fitness stuff.
Yeah,
And like, I'd never played football or anything. I'd always just like,
yeah,
I'd never been into those sort of more structured sports.
yeah,
And like, it was just, I mean, it was awful. Like we'd be doing like these intervals and like, just these big long rides. And at the time, I wanted to do it because I wanted to race.
yeah. Were you racing cross country too?
No, downhill, but it was more of a cross country team almost. Like there was a lot of cross.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
It
yeah.
was sort of Scottish cycling, and we did all the rides with the cross country people often.
Yeah,
And it was ended up being really good for me. Like I'm so grateful now, like
yeah,
as an adult, because I still just, you know, love all that stuff, and it's just a really good thing to like,
yeah.
you know, be doing. What did you enjoy it at that age? Like, because I remember going to a cross country race, I got forced to.
Yeah,
Same with cyclocross races,
yeah, yeah.
every now and then, and I'd be like, I would do everything I could to try and avoid it. I remember I got a puncture once on the start line,
You're stoked?
and I was like, oh, so stoked. I was like, oh, thank God.
Let's go.
I'm not gonna like. And then my friend was like, Morgan, you've got a puncture, and I was like, shh. And then he like called the coach, and then so instead of missing the race, I just had this mad rush
Really?
fixing the puncture, and then I
Oh
had
no.
to go. I had to go.
Dobbed
Did you
in.
enjoy it at that age? Or?
I did because I never did any training. My brother and I would just go play on these little bikes, and then it would be an XC race, so we'd just, you know, drag out the big hardtail and race it without any training. So I did kind of like it because you didn't have to put in too much work. It was just like,
It was fun.
we were pretty active kids already. And at that young age, you know, like some people train, but you don't really need to. So we just had fun, and like the competitive side of it's cool. Like
Totally.
XC racing head to head, it's pretty exciting.
So that is something that is really cool about
You get
that.
to have those battles with people.
Totally, yeah. It really changes sport massively.
Yeah,
Like, you know, like downhill and enduro. I don't know what cross country is like, but like it's easy for enduro riders to be friends with each other.
exactly.
Downhill riders to be friends with each other.
Because we've got a common enemy, and the enemy is the clock
Exactly.
instead of each other.
There's no bullshit. I mean, that's what I kind of liked about it. Well, sport generally is like, it's like, okay, like you think you're good at this thing, and you go to a race or whatever,
Yeah,
and it's like, it's right there. That's exactly
yeah,
how good you are, and who's better than you, who's faster than you.
yeah,
You know, there's like a real cool objectivity to it. But yeah, one of the nice things about, I suppose, and one of the, because does add an element of like tactics and stuff that's quite good fun.
yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought was kind of fun for us when we were kids. We just loved it, but then it got to we were like kind of 16, 17. So my brother and I were both racing. He's a few years younger than me. But we both kind of gave up at the same time just because it came to the point where you did have to train. And we just wanted to go hit jumps and, you know, ride pump tracks and stuff. We didn't want to go out slogging up hills on the hardtail.
Yeah.
And we only had hardtails. So like, did a bit of like dirt jumping for about a year and then just stopped riding.
For how long?
Till I finished uni, so probably, I guess, when I finished uni, when I was 21, 22, what am I now, 25, so like, yeah, 4 years ago,
Yeah.
well, yeah, when I quit,
So you didn't ride for those 4 years?
didn't really, nah.
Really?
did like the occasional like, you know, like weekend ride with some friends or
Away.
something, but it wasn't actually like riding or racing or anything.
That's cool.
And I just had the hardtail, like the 29er hardtail, so it was pretty
fun.
it's not super enjoyable for like riding downhill stuff. The geo was so shit.
And then, so how quickly? So you're like 22, you get back into racing again.
Yeah.
And how serious were you at that point about, you know, trying to? Were you thinking, I want to do EWS, I want to like make this a career, or like what was the sort of?
Yeah.
What were you thinking at that point?
Yeah, well, like, because like, yeah, during uni I just skied basically, and my brother's really into the skiing, so just kind of followed him into that, and that was everything, just skiing. Kind of forgot about the bikes, and then during that time the bikes had developed so much, like you'd have like sick trail bikes or enduro bikes that you could pedal, which hadn't really been a thing before. So yeah, I finished uni, and my brother and I were like, oh, let's try to do some more biking, because we loved it as kids. And we went to like a local bike shop, because we had done heaps of stuff with like ski sponsors and that. We were like, oh, let's write a proposal. So we just like wrote this like sick proposal with like a bunch of skiing stuff and how we could help get publicity for a bike shop. And then we just sent it out to almost everyone in New Zealand with an email address and a bike. And this local shop in Christchurch, Fleet Cycles, came back and they're like, oh, we'll loan you 2 Scott Geniuses. It's like a kind of mid-travel trail bike.
Yeah.
29er. So yeah, we got one of those each, and then just entered a race. Went down and did it, and like, I remember like the Yeti guys like Jubal Davis and a few like pros were there, and we just entered. We were wearing like motocross full faces and like skiing knee pads, and like had the funniest setup, like Hawaiian shirts, and did pretty well. Like, I don't know, I think I might have been in the top 10 or something.
Yeah.
And then
That was national enduro.
yeah, national one.
Yeah.
And then that same year, just after that race, a friend of mine, Tom Bradshaw, he works with Pink Bike now. He had a big crash and broke his shoulder, and then he hit me up and he's like, yeah, I know you just started, but how would you like to take my spot at the next 2 EWS rounds? I've emailed them and told them that you're good enough to do it. So if you want, there's a spot in Chile and Colombia for you to race.
What team was that, sir?
That was just
Just his entry for the race.
yeah.
Okay.
Because at that point, I don't know how it works now. I think you've got to do like qualifiers.
Yeah.
At that point, you either had to have done it the year before, or you'd have to have like some good results to vouch for you.
Yeah.
So he kind of vouched for me, got me into that was 2018, my first 2 EWSs. And my first race, the first stage of my first race, I completely blew the first corner, and a rock came up and snapped my hydraulic brake cable
Yeah.
because it was under the frame.
Fuck.
So my rear brake was just
Gone.
So I did a whole day of racing in Chile
Just the front brake.
on just the front brake.
Oh my god.
And it was terrifying. Like, I still haven't been that scared on a bike.
I'd imagine as well, like,
The whole day I was just shaking.
you must have been shaking. You would have been quite scared before you did that.
Yeah. I was super nervous because it's your first EWS. It's like
Exactly, yeah.
a big deal. And then I got to the first corner and had to do the rest of the day on one
Oh
brake.
my god.
One stage was 14 kilometers with almost 2,000 descending. And it was like 20 minutes for the winner.
Shit.
And I was out there on the front brake, like almost crying, walking my bike down like the steep chute.
Oh my god.
And my bike looked mint. There's nothing wrong with it. So people,
everyone just thinks you're a weapon.
people would see me and they'd be like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy?
He's not good enough to be here.
So it was, that was really tough. Bike just kept going and got it fixed by some friendly guys at Yeti overnight, and then to the next day, and like, I think I had like a few stages in the top 40.
Amazing.
And I was like, so shocked. I was like, wow, I might actually be all right at this. And then since then, I just yeah, I've just tried to
plug away at it.
race as many as I can while balancing work, and slowly improving, really.
And then, so last year was kind of your breakout season, was it? Or was
Yeah.
it the year before?
Yeah, last
It was
year,
then.
the COVID year.
And you got a podium.
No. My best result was a 6th here in finale.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So this year I got the
Oh, you got
podium at the start of the year.
Yeah, I remember that. And now, so you got them to specialise last year for this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that happened. That's interesting.
So yeah, I was riding on the pivot incubator program.
Yeah.
So it's where Eddie and Bernard find riders who they think have potential, and then they just help support them for a year.
Okay, cool.
And Cole Lucas did it for a year, and then I did it last year.
Did you know those guys before? Or you like
Yeah,
met
like-
at races and stuff.
Yeah, I've known Eddie for a couple of years, not that long, but he's always been super generous and like helped me a lot, like, you know, lend me bikes and different bits and pieces.
That's amazing to have that support.
Yeah.
How
So
much do you
he's been
think
key.
it sounds like, and this is something maybe not just unique to you, but something that Kiwis generally seem to be quite good at? Because it sounds like you had, it was always fun growing
Yeah.
up, even the racing. I did a podcast recently with a guy, sports psychologist,
Yeah.
and he works with swimmers.
Yeah.
And swimming's like just a super intense sport. You know,
Yeah.
they get up at 4 a.m, training like heavily from an early age.
Yeah.
And they don't have, a lot of times, like his PhD was on depression and athletes and stuff, and it's more common with those types of, I think for me as well, like I got too intense too young,
Yeah.
and it just ended up, it wasn't good for the racing,
Yeah.
and it wasn't good for me either. It took me like a few years just to recover basically, and
Yeah.
just like have, it actually, yeah, it can be quite damaging.
Yeah.
And it sounds like for you, like it was always quite relaxed.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I've never, but this season's probably the closest I've come to getting to that maximum point of training. I've always kind of stayed on the undertrained side of it and more the fun side of it, which has been good because then you never get sick of it.
Totally.
You never really get over it. Like, I've always done training like for the XC. I do a few rides in the week, or when I was running, I'd do a few runs, but never like a structured, serious program, which is just something that works for me. Some people need that for motivation, but I don't mind just having a kind of relaxed approach to it.
Totally.
Like now, obviously, riding full time, I train a lot more.
How has it changed going from, you know, having nothing little to prove, kind of, you know, just seeing what you are capable of, to being on a team? How do you like find is there much, do you feel much expectation there? How's it changed?
A little bit actually, yeah. Definitely take it a bit more seriously now, and feel that I kind of have to perform for not just myself but for others. But I still, at the end of the day, just, you know, it's just racing, and there's always another race. So just try and enjoy it, and I think that hopefully shows through with the team. Like, your sponsors are still happy if you have a bad race, but you are still positive about it and looking forward to the next one, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think they're pretty reasonable, and a lot of riders think there's more pressure than maybe there is,
Yeah.
and they kind of overburden themselves because they think their team like is hanging off every result, when in actual fact, if they, you know, just relax a little bit and still tried hard but didn't let it get them down, maybe it would be better.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I left school when I was 16 and then just started just fully kind of wanting to be a professional mountain biker, and
Yeah.
had quite structured kind of training.
Yeah.
And was like training really hard, and I put all my eggs in that one basket.
Yeah.
And then after about 3 years, I was just burnt out,
Yeah.
completely burnt out, and I was like, right, I'm gonna go to university basically.
Yeah.
And then I went off and didn't really ride for a few years, but it's almost like the other way around, because I always said off university, like I loved university.
Yeah.
Because I had that time in between school, like I really knew why I was there.
Yeah.
I really had things in
So you
perspective.
really appreciated it more.
I really appreciated it. I love being in the library on a Monday morning, reading about something I found interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
And then enjoyed it, and then enjoyed it more and did better as a result.
Definitely. I see that with uni heaps. People who come in after a few years, they know what they want to do. They know why they're there. They're not fucking around.
Yeah, exactly. But
And they enjoy it and they do well.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're grateful. They're grateful just to be there and as I say, enjoying it.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you kind of did that with mountain biking.
Yeah. That's probably true. Like, just picked it up completely as a hobby out of interest, with no really expectations. Like I saw pro riders and I was like, oh, that would be the dream. That's so cool. I never thought that would be me. I just kind of, yeah.
It's funny, yeah, because
Just
so
something
then
on the
you were kind of 23 when you were like, okay, I'm going to take this seriously now. 22, 23.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, yeah, exactly. Did a degree and then did a couple years of working. And then I like had a really cool job with cool people, but I was just in front of a computer all day. And I was like, oh, like, I don't know if this is me. I used to be a builder when I was at high school, like in the summers.
Yeah.
And I love that. So I was thinking, maybe this is the wrong career. And I think that gave me a bit of motivation to kind of try
Something different.
try the bike thing for a year, which was last year, and really have a good shot of it and see like, hey, could we make this work?
It's so funny. You're like almost exactly where I feel now.
Yeah.
Which is I finished uni last year. I did the race and haven't been riding much.
Yeah.
And then now I'm like, yeah, still quite enjoying working, but it's definitely, I think when you have something, like we're lucky in that to just this thing that we just love doing. Like,
Yeah.
And everything else that comes out with it, like we know what it feels like just to be outside all day. Like I worked in building as well.
Yeah.
And you're thinking about the days, and some of that suck, like, just working long days in the cold and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, like recently, COVID, man, working from home,
Yeah.
like on your computer all day, like
Yeah.
getting up in the morning, and then like my desk is in the room,
Yeah. Yeah.
just falling out of bed, and then just staring at this
All day.
thing all day.
It's brutal, eh?
It's brutal, yeah. Especially when it's like, when you're there, like, yeah, 9 till 6 or whatever, like, yeah, it's weird. It does give you, it does make you think.
I reckon it's almost harder. It's harder than a physical job sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
The mental job, because, God, you get to the end of the day and you feel like a bit of a zombie.
You do, yeah. It's harder to leave behind as well.
Yeah.
It kind of like, like running and stuff and cycling is just the antidote to that.
Yeah.
Getting out for a ride after work.
Yeah.
It's so, feels like a complete, like it doesn't feel like I could cope without that, or like a run at lunchtime.
Yeah, no.
Or something.
Feels like you wouldn't be able to survive.
Yeah. What were you doing?
I was trained as a structural engineer.
Okay.
So I was working for a firm in Christchurch, just designing buildings. Yeah.
Do you think as well, like we were talk about this quite a lot, but like a lot of athletes, they're competing when they're young, they're good, especially the good ones.
Yeah.
And they're competing, they're on teams, you're having dinners cooked for them, whatever, everything's up for them. And then sometimes it just works, sometimes they're just, they're brilliant, they never struggle or whatever.
Yeah.
Although you wonder what happens next.
Yeah.
But do you think it's, like, I'd imagine you feel like that having that bit of experience and stuff is good for you as an athlete.
Definitely. That's a really good point you make, because we see that all the time with people who've had, the support and everything done for them from the start, and kind of coming straight from a kid with your parents looking after you to on a team or some sponsorship with other people looking after you. You never really get that chance to have that real world experience and I think you also get confidence from it. Like, I'm confident knowing everything goes to shit, I can sort myself out.
Totally.
If it's at a bike race, I can sort my bike out. If I'm just traveling, I can get from A to B. I can know how to find food, how to find a place to stay, stuff like that. So it does give you confidence, and it's like, let's not take this for granted, because not many people have the opportunity.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm still pinching myself every time a dinner's done for you or your bike is
Yeah.
prepared and ready to go. Like, I'm just always saying, like, thank you, like, this is awesome. They're like, oh no, it's nothing, but it is something. Like,
Yeah, totally, yeah.
and I try not to forget it, because people do. You see so many people who just get accustomed to it, and it's a bit of a shame, because it's so cool.
It is. It's
So
funny, I was
lucky.
just saying to Krista when you went to, we just dropped the bags off at your pit, and you're like talking to people, I was like, yeah, and being one of it would be cool, you know, being on one of those the bigger teams and like
Yeah.
just getting to focus on the riding. But
It's
just as you say, like having that, I think the age is really important, because like when I was a teenager and racing, and I kind of stopped racing pretty much, like raced World Cups for 2-3 years and then stopped racing, but I was only 19
Yeah.
when I stopped, and I kind of thought at that point like that was it, like,
True.
and like my perspective on things was just, you know, looking
Narrow.
back now, it was so skewed, it was
Yeah.
ridiculous. And now when I go and race, just not having, like as you say, like knowing you've got other things going on, you've got friends
Yeah.
outside of the sport,
Yeah.
having that balance just means like you can just enjoy it,
Yeah.
which means you do better, as long as, you know, provided you're riding enough.
Yeah. That's the hard thing, is balancing the work and the riding. Because it is hard to have enough bike time when you're working to
Yeah, that's the thing.
be
isn't it?
really quick, but I think it's so good for keeping an open perspective. And I always say, like, I think everyone should, you know, either go to uni or do a trade or do something.
Before getting into,
Some sort
before
of-
fully committing to sport.
Yeah, because most sporting careers are never going to be your whole life. So why would you not at least prepare a little bit with something like a trade or a skill or a degree or a diploma or something?
Yeah.
And the friends and the like confidence and the worldly view you get from that
Yeah.
is like, you can't put a price on that.
You like absolutely can't. No, exactly. And it will ultimately help. It's interesting, like how sort of, I don't know, we have these like cultural kind of myths or whatever.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
of them, you know, certainly that I like absorbed was just like people that succeed in sport give up everything for that dream.
Yeah.
And so like that's kind of what I did after leaving school.
Right, because you think that's the only way you can achieve it.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
you're like, okay, like it's like I want to do better, so I sacrifice more.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's an element of truth to that, but I don't think so, not really within sport. Like if I had a kid that was into racing, this is what I was going to ask you actually, is like I'd be like, all right, just, you know, just enjoy it. Like
Yeah.
until you're in your 20s. Like
Yeah.
just like just be active, but don't like get too intense.
Yeah.
Was that like, is that something you kind of absorbed from your parents? Like, did they encourage that, or was that just?
Yeah, definitely. Like, so they were obviously pretty successful sports people, but and they were always active with us, but it was never about one particular sport or one activity or anything that we had to do. It was just about adventures and having fun.
Yeah. Which has obviously worked, because Hutch was telling me your brother is a professional skier as well.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it was just like our parents just loved getting out for adventures, and then we learned to love it and love the outdoors. And then if we ever had a sport that we wanted to do, they would support us, but they never chose for us or say, oh, all right, you guys are gonna
You're gonna train.
we're gonna do
Get
this.
in the gym.
We're gonna do this sport, or like it wasn't like the whole family was dragged along to bike races every weekend or something.
Yeah.
It was like, and both our parents don't actually have too much interest in our sports. Like they support us and like,
But in a healthy kind of way, like not
Yeah, but then-
feeding.
yeah, they've never been the parents that come to every race or that are like, you know,
They're not too attached
involved.
to like your success
No,
in this sport.
they're like, that's your thing. You
Yeah.
go and do that. And then when we're together, you know, we just have our family adventures. We go tramping or something.
Yeah.
But Craig and I just go off and do our own thing. And my sister's the same. Like, she's a amazing skier and biker. She raced like world champs downhill and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
And but she's just at uni at the moment. But
Having that time
yeah,
to do other stuff.
it'll be really good for her, because then she'll kind of after school she had a year or two off to, the three of us kids have all done it differently.
Yeah.
So like my brother has done it more like you, my sister's like a mix, and I'm like just the straight school, uni, job sort of path with the biking after.
Yeah.
But my brother, like at school, his last couple of years of school, he got really good at skiing.
Yeah.
And then he kind of straight after that, he saved up over summer and went to Europe for skiing. So he took like maybe 2 or 3 years off. Like
Off between
gap years.
school and
Yeah.
uni, yeah.
But he finished school, he just went straight on the skiing
Yeah.
path and he succeeded on it.
Yeah.
So he made it to that level. And now he's gone back to uni.
Okay.
He's just finished his studies.
And is he still a pro skier
Yeah.
at uni? Yeah, that's a good way to do it as well.
So he's just, and he just managed to fit it in. Like
yeah.
he got so good at skiing that he didn't have to ski every day. And he figured out what he wanted to do at uni so that he wasn't wasting his time. So he just did the degree juggling the skiing. And because he was, good at both, he could make it work.
That's amazing. That is so interesting. Yeah, it's funny, like, the age I am, like 26 now, looking back. I mean, there's no blueprint. Like, I knew that what I wanted was just to basically I was never actually interested in success at the races.
Yeah.
Just wanted each day to involve, like, getting up, doing some exercise, and going out on my bike,
Yeah, yeah.
And so, like, that was the thing. And I was like, okay, the way to do that is to do well at races.
Yeah.
And then the way to do well at races is to sort of be really intense about it and stuff.
Yeah.
From a young age. But to have someone there, there is a way, combination of things that will work quite well.
Yeah.
And it's just like a lot of, I think, success in sport is just getting that right balance.
Yeah.
From a good age.
Yeah.
Of things, yeah. And it sounds like, yeah, you guys, you did it in different ways, but something just had that having that broad interest and keeping it fun. Like,
Yeah.
it's obviously really worked.
Yeah. No, we've been pretty lucky, I think. Just our parents have been cool at just making us appreciate activities and stuff outside. So it gives you a good base to start anything. And without
Absolutely.
like messing around on bikes when we were kids, we wouldn't have those, hi. We wouldn't have those basic skills.
Yeah.
But I draw on those so much now. Like I put all that, those 5 or 10 years of riding rigid 16-inch bikes, I put almost all of that down to my skill base now.
Totally.
I haven't actually picked up that much in the last few years. Like I've been sharpening the pencil, but those basic core skills all come from that.
Exactly. What then do you think?
So I think,
Sorry, go on.
I just think, so for like kids, it's really hard because your parents have to facilitate it.
Mm-hmm.
But just having kids that can run around outside and, play on bikes or run around, climb trees, just do, anything outside and whole bunch of different stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's
Those are
just
the base.
a perfect base. And then
yeah.
you don't need to focus on anything in particular for years.
Yeah. No, exactly. I listened to an interesting podcast actually around that kind of idea. It was comparing Tiger Woods to, I think, Roger Federer.
Yeah.
And so apparently, like, Tiger Woods' dad, from super young age,
Yeah.
from before he could walk, he was like practicing a golf swing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he had him like set, that he was going to be a golfer from such a young age.
Yeah.
Whereas Roger Federer was doing loads of different sports.
Yeah.
Into his like late teens, I think.
Yeah.
And then focused on tennis.
Yeah.
And the guy was basically saying, I can't remember what the book was called. I remember really enjoying the podcast at the time though. Like our society kind of pushes the Tiger Woods approach
Yeah.
more than the Roger Federer approach.
Yeah.
But actually there's a lot of evidence to say, broad base and then
Yeah.
specializing is actually, there's that jack of all trades, master of none
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
philosophy. But yeah, there's a lot to be said, and I think it's better for someone's like mental health,
Yeah.
the broad base first.
I think, it obviously works. They're like the parent that's driving it. It shows success, but I don't know how many times it fails, and that it causes a massive problem in the family, or mental health problems. And then you read these books like Andre Agassi, the tennis player.
Yes, yeah.
And he had a similar dad to Tiger, I guess. And he had some seriously kind of...
He went to a dark place.
Yeah,
even after his successful career.
Yeah, because it doesn't set you up well, I don't think.
It's funny as well, looking at Federer. I don't know how much this has to do with it, but I mean, as far as an athlete goes, like, he's got to be one of the best ever for all sports. Like,
yeah,
I mean, Greg Minnaar maybe is another one. Like, it's because now that athletes are getting older, you know, Federer's still competing at such a high level.
Yeah,
and he doesn't really get injured.
Yeah,
and you wonder, like, and also his like attitude. He always seems fairly relaxed.
Yeah,
he always seems like he's got a good attitude. And like a part of that's got to be down to, you know, that just what we're saying, like that kind of broad base at the start.
Yeah, 100%. I think, yeah, often overlooked, but it's pretty important.
It is often. I think that's really important. I mean, that's kind of something that I learned, like kind of the hard way in some ways. And now it's like there's so many different things that I like doing, and riding's, you know, a part of that. But yeah, we need to, like, I think that should be the message, because most people don't make it in sport.
Yeah.
And like, that's kind of falling down because shit. Yeah, most people actually, well, not in a bad way, but like the chances of you actually getting to, you know, the very pinnacle of a sport are fairly slim for most people. So,
yeah,
you know, and also it's not going to help you get there if you just focus on one thing. So
yeah,
it's like, it's good on both counts. It's better for your mental health, and it's actually probably better for your performance to basically
that's
have
a good point.
To have more balance, you know, from that.
And also, as you said, like, not many people make it. So why not have a base and a structure to fall back on?
Exactly.
Instead of just having this one skinny tower that's been built.
And then if it falls, you fall all the way down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I think, yeah, it's hard, but I guess it comes down to the parents pushing it a lot of the time.
And also, I mean, I suppose conversation, like, just athletes themselves being like,
yeah,
you know, don't worry too much. Like, that's what I always tell, like, when we meet kids at the pub track or whatever, and they're asking about racing. It's just like, because I was not like that. Like at 15, I was like, the races were, you know,
you're serious.
I was serious, and I was just serious about racing. I was lucky because I wasn't too serious about other things, and I still like enjoyed myself in other areas.
Yeah.
But then when I left school, that kind of changed, and I just was serious. But the message I'm always saying is just like, don't worry about it until you know, like, you'll get to a point. But and I was, you know, people kind of said that to me, but I was like, no, it does matter. It does matter, but it really, really doesn't.
If I had any advice, it would just be, just enjoy it, do different stuff, and have fun. And if you become good at something, that's great. But if not, it's still great. You
still love it. You still have a thing you enjoy doing. Yeah.
And everyone thinks that, like, it's a disaster to, you know, have to get a real job and this and that. But it's actually quite good. It gives you like a base, and, you know, like all my friends at home work real jobs, and, you know, on the weekends you go and have awesome times or after work, and it means you really appreciate when you're not at work.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're doing it every day, you actually sometimes lose the appreciation.
Totally, yeah.
So I think, jobs, they're tough, like, for sure.
But it's a good point, actually, because there kind of is a glorification as well. Like, you know, like I was complaining earlier on, but there's lots of things I love about it. Yeah. And there's loads of stuff I love about not, you know, competing at that level, not having to worry too much about it. You can be like, I'm just going to, like, not ride this weekend. You know, I'm just going to go into this party or this festival or whatever.
You don't feel like you have to. Yeah.
Exactly. There's a lot to be said for not being a pro athlete. It's not like being a pro athlete, like, it's something worth pursuing, and there's a lot to be said for it, but it's not like it's you know, there's lots to, it's not the be all and end all. Like, you will find just the same purpose, meaning, whatever, in other areas.
And you probably enjoy riding more even.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, unless you're a complete frother.
Yeah.
Then it's like, it can, you know, people do lose the fun of it for sure.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of pro athletes that are not like, it's not going to make you happy necessarily, you know. It's it could be good, but yeah, it's not, as we say, it's like not.
Yeah, people think that that's the you know, the shining light at the end of the tunnel is once you get there, everything, all your problems disappear, but you still have the same, you know, some days you feel shit, some days you feel good, you know, you still have to, you know, have relationship problems or family problems, or, you know, things, nothing doesn't fix anything.
Totally, yeah.
It's just you spend your days in a different way.
Exactly, yeah.
But you still have all the same issues. Like, people think my issues are going to disappear as soon as I become a pro. But
that's the same of anything as well. You know, anyone chasing this one dream, like, there is no point, like that. You know, that's it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so it's, and that's where like this balance.
You never get there.
Exactly.
So you don't really want to expect to get there, because
Totally.
then you're always disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just got to kind of enjoy the journey more, I reckon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I got this tattoo.
Yeah.
Sisyphus.
What's that?
So Sisyphus is like this Greek myth.
Yeah,
And he gets.
What's he doing? Is he climbing?
He's pushing a rock up a hill.
Oh, yeah.
But the idea, there was a book that someone wrote called. So there's this myth, and this king gets banished, and he's told to push a rock up a mountain.
Yeah.
And when he gets to the top, he's just back at the bottom of the mountain. So he's pushing it up forever.
It's a loop.
It's a loop. He never gets to the top with the rock. He's always pushing this big heavy rock up his mountain. And then there was a philosopher who wrote a book about it, basically, with the moral being like, that's what life's like. You just have to accept that we're just pushing rocks at mountains, and you have to, as you say, like enjoy. Like the thing to be enjoying is
the rock.
Is the rock.
Yeah.
It's not the summit. I mean, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the problem is, Western society, it's shaped around the summit, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Not the rock.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And there's all these things like this car, this house, or, this position at a firm, or, endless,
It's endless. Yeah.
And there's these single goals, single things that people are shooting for.
Yeah.
But that's the wrong approach.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting.
Super. I've loved talking to you, because this is something, especially after that last podcast with the psychologist, and the thing I learned, having put all my eggs in one basket, and then going through a bit of a depression afterwards.
Yeah.
It was basically, you need balance. So if you've got a lot of energy and stuff, just put it into different things, pursue things, but just do different things. And it's interesting, your success in Enduro and stuff, and it's quite inspiring actually, because you didn't really ride for a few years. I'm kind of at the point now where I feel like I've not really been riding.
Yeah.
Kristo's just smoking me at every race. But it's good to know that it's actually probably it's ultimately quite a good thing. Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like I said, my years at uni were just amazing, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. And it's the same with Eddie. I think he came into the sport a similar path as me. He did a uni degree, didn't really ride bikes, and then kind of he had the same childhood, messing around at the skate park sort of thing.
Mm.
But then he kind of just did a bunch of different stuff. Did the normal school, the normal uni. I guess both of our families are kind of similar. They put a bit of emphasis on education. You don't have to go,
Mm-hmm.
but it was kind of expected that you would do something. You can do a trade or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think Dad, he had the same thing when he was a kid. He had the education and the uni and the work and everything. So it was kind of an expectation a little bit, which is why. But I think that's good.
In some ways,
you don't want to be forced into it if you don't want to. And we weren't forced into it. My brother took 2 or 3 years off.
Yeah.
Same with my sister. She took maybe 2 years off. But then we have all come back to it.
Because you love it.
We're all either at uni or have done a uni degree. And I think it's just more the friends you make and the
balance you have there.
The balance,
fun you have, yeah.
Yeah, it's the fun. Not so much the study. That's great and a bit of a bonus, but just what you learn about the world. How to live with people and get on with people, and how to have a balance, I guess.
Absolutely. I could talk to you all afternoon, but thank you so much. That was a really great chat. We're going to go ride. I'll give you a shout and we'll swap.
Yeah, that's pretty good anyway. Yeah. Sweet. All good? So I'm leading?
Yeah. If you can
Is this on?
Yeah, it will be. And you press it. There we go. We're good to go.
All right. So,
we're off.
I'm going to try.
The microphone's on? Yep.
Try and ride. The microphones are on. See if I
I'll
can
my pants
ride.
Pants stay on. So this was the start just here last year. Quite pedally to start with.
Not been able to ride since I had a crash on practice in Crans. I took some ibuprofen this morning, and I'm kind of feeling like I can maybe ride. Not sure I can keep up with Charlie Murray though. Trails are so different than anything we ride.
Yeah, it's crazy, eh?
So dry. Okay, so far so good. On this flat straight. Whoa, watch out for that rock. Holy
Whoa.
shit. Whoa. Whoa. It's quite a nice little warm up. Crans could have done with something like this. Or I could have done something like this. See if I can manual. Kinda sore, but I did it. Must be quite a long track down. Fairly long climb. So, apparently there's some steep turns at some point. I've got to watch out for. A little bit scared. Oh. Here we go. What? Feeling very sketchy. Very rusty. Hold up, Charlie, we'll let Crystal go in front. I do not have. Yeah, I'm just far too rusty.
This bit here is the sketchy bit, I remember. I missed them.
Oh, we've completely lost it.
Last time. Oh, there's the hotline. Yeah, definitely taking the hotline. That saves pretty rude corners. And there's like a drop down here, I remember. Just here, you gotta get up.
Well, this is the biggest weapon I've ever been on this.
Then off the drop.
On the Derailed podcast.
There we go. Not quite race pace, but good little warm up. Definitely wakes the brain up.
I'm surprised I can even ride.
We'll just see how the boys are going. Pretty sick trail.
Whoa.
It's slippery right now because all the dry leaves make it sketchy.
Charlie!
Yo! All good?
I'll let Crystal go in front. I'm way too rusty.
It's sketchy, eh?
It is a bit, yeah. I'm just wobbling all over the place.
Yeah, we're pretty much on the bottom anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It's so different. I mean, one, I haven't ridden in a while, and also these trails are so far in as well.
And it really, like, it's hard to get a flow. It's like,
Yeah.
All the leaves on it.
you can't see anything, eh?
Yeah.
Is it?
You could kind of get grip last year. Like it was.
It's
kinda almost
so
I
slippery.
can't imagine
But,
racing
like,
this kind of
the
stuff.
dirt you gripped on, at least last year here, just on the leaves. It's like, woo.
Yeah,
There were a lot of complaints about this stage last year.
really.
Yeah.
It
I
does.
actually loved it, but a lot of people hated it. It's like, at home I ride heaps of that niggly stuff,
Really,
but lots of people don't, and it's so different from like downhill.
so different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine racing that. Do you want to take the GoPro?
Nah, it's just 2 more minutes. It's
Ah,
Keep
okay,
going.
whatever.
like 4 turns.
All right, we'll go again. 4 more.
Part is done, basically.
It wasn't, to be fair, as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Well, that's good.
Just a bit spike.
It's always good to have good expectations.
So weird.
Whoa. That bit's tech. Stomp and go.
Whoa.
Whoa.
This
This is a high speed
This is ridiculous.
rock bombing section.
Oh my god. He is just chilling, but even if I could ride, I'd be so scared of this stuff.
So like, I think that's where I stopped, just back there.
Oh no.
And the finish, I think, was just here, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is alien.
That was fun.
I like that steep bit.
Is it across here, right? Yeah.
Oh. Sorry, viewers. I
Ciao.
couldn't really even
That's it.
try and keep up. He is
This
very
is
quick
sick.
as well. Grazie.
Through to the house.
Oh, cool.
We cruise down to the road?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just pull over when we get to the actual, like, the first bit of road.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, just up here a bit.
Nice.
Sweet. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks. Sick.
That was really great. I did my best.
It's hard, eh?
Yeah, super hard. A little bit sore, but it was fun. Really different kind of
Yeah.
tracks here.
Had some pre-practice on that one, so don't worry.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. That was a really great conversation, and
Yeah.
best of luck this weekend. I'm
Thanks.
sure.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, I've really enjoyed catching up, and it's cool to talk to someone who kind of has thought about the big picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sick,
Thanks a lot,
yeah.
man. Sweet.
Sweet.
Done. Another one.
Welcome to the outro. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Charlie. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. We will be back next week at 6 o'clock with another episode for you. Guest yet to be decided. Will be done so within the next 10 or 15 seconds. But we haven't yet. We've not got there quite yet. So stay tuned. We'll let you know on Monday or Tuesday who the guest is. But it's another good one. Stay tuned. See you then.